is value-based pricing? Is it a good model for consultants to use? I think so. I think it's a fabulous model, whether you're new to consulting or you've been working as a consultant for several years. This video explains what is value-based pricing, why some people call it, including me, a win-win model, and how to think about implementing value-based pricing in your own consulting practice. Hello, I'm Laura Burford. If you would like additional information to help you build your own consulting business, please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you click on the bell, you'll be notified when the next video is available. If you find this video helpful, please click the like button. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, jot them below. Let me know if you can see how you might use value-based pricing in your own consulting business. So what is value-based pricing? Why do I often refer to it as a win-win model? And why should you consider using it within your own business? There are other models that you can use to price engagements. And there's actually a video out on this channel that you might want to consider checking out that discusses the 5 basic pricing models. I'll include a link below to help you find it easily. A value-based price is a price based on the perceived value of the product or service by the client. And different clients can perceive the same product or service differently, and they're willing to pay a different price based on what they believe. I call this a win-win model because it's not just the client involved in the decision. Value-based pricing is based on having a relationship with the client. By talking with them, you negotiate, you collaborate as to what is the right price. The price needs to be beneficial and work for both the client and the consultant. But all of us are actually familiar with value-based pricing because we use it in our everyday lives, and many of us don't even realize it. You might have even heard of the story I'm going to tell, and it's about a mechanic and a manufacturing company. Now, my version might be slightly different than a version you've heard, but I think you'll get the picture. A small manufacturing company had a problem with a major piece of equipment on their production line, and production came to a halt. Halting production meant no business, or at least no sales, because they couldn't get the merchandise out the door, which also meant lost revenue. The on-site mechanic was dispatched, and he started working on the equipment. A few days went by, and the equipment still wasn't working. The owner reached out to a mechanic in the town. The mechanic arrived, and he worked with it. A few more days went by. More revenue was lost because merchandise wasn't getting out the door. Finally, the owner reached out to the manufacturer of the equipment and asked for some help. The owner did not have a maintenance agreement with the equipment company, so they got quoted what the owner felt was an enormous price, $10,000. But the owner realized he needed to do something. He needed to get help. He needed to get production moving again. The equipment company dispatched the person immediately, and he was on within hours. The equipment company mechanic opened his toolbox and he started working. And he moved some things around and pulled a bolt out of his kit and replaced a bolt. And then turned the switch. And the equipment started working. The whole exercise, the whole effort to get the equipment started again took less than 30 minutes from when the mechanic walked in the door, opened his toolbox, and turned the switch. Now you might be sitting back saying, $10,000? And it was only 30 minutes? Yes, but the value to hire that gentleman outweighed the $10,000 how much revenue was lost, how many pieces of merchandise did not get out the door because that piece of equipment wasn't working. Was that $10,000 worth it to the owner to get the operations up and running? So how do you go about determining the value for your service? You get paid based on value. This is not a model where you get paid dollars based on the number of hours you work. And I mentioned earlier that this is a win-win model. And it's a win-win model because it's based on having a relationship with the client. It's a person that you want to work with and who wants to work with you. It's a person that trusts you and feels comfortable that you might be able to help them. I also call it a win-win model because whatever price you come up with needs to work for the client as well as you. It needs to be beneficial for both. To determine what that right price might be, start by thinking about what you believe, the consultant believes, your service is worth. You might want to look at competitors. See what are they charging. And then you set up a meeting with the client, a discovery meeting, or if you'd rather, a strategy meeting, to talk about what they need, to help discuss and identify what the problem is, where they want to be in the future. And here's the key. You discuss what is worth to them to solve the problem. Usually this takes some conversation, some discussion. You talk about it. You negotiate, you compromise, you go back and forth. You work together to come up with what you believe the value of solving the problem will be for the client. And then you determine a price based on that. It's a win-win model. The price is beneficial to you as well as the client. It works for you as well as the client. Let's think of it slightly differently. If you solve a problem for the client and it saves them $100,000 in year one, is it worth it to them to pay you 10% or 10K? You might be saying, this sounds great, but a value-based pricing model isn't practical. People won't go for it. Well, there are a lot of consultants that use the model and it works, but it does depend on having a relationship with the client. Again, it is a win-win model. You work together. You trust one another. You want to see both of you win, and the price has to work for both of you and be beneficial for both of you. You might also be saying, you know what, this sounds like a great pricing model, but I would never use it. Okay, maybe you won't use it in your consulting business, but guess what? You use it every day of your life. We all use a value-based pricing model to make decisions. It could be as simple as, where do you go to get your cup of coffee? Do you want to go to a fast food restaurant that charges $1 for a cup of coffee? Or would you rather go to a specialty shop, such as a Starbucks, that charges $5 for a cup of coffee? What is the value to you of that cup of coffee? To recap, there's only so much I can talk about when it comes to value-based pricing in a short video, but I do believe you got an idea as to what is value-based pricing. It is a price that is based on the perceived value of your product or service by the client. If you're interested in more information about value-based pricing, you might want to consider checking out my self-study Engage bundle, where I talk about it in more detail, or the Consulting Jumpstart Blueprint Program. Links to both are down below in the description section. Again, value-based pricing is a fabulous model for consultants. It is a relationship model, and if you believe consulting is a relationship business, it is a model that will work for you. If you found this video helpful and would like additional videos such as this, please consider subscribing to the channel and clicking on the bell. Clicking on the bell will notify you when the next video is available. If you like this video and found this information helpful, please click the like button and don't hesitate to drop in the comments section what you liked, or if you have any questions, or if there's something else you would like to hear about in the future. I'd like to know. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this. I really do appreciate it. And now I will sign off until next time.